Hello lovely people, and welcome back to my first video post-holiday. Can you tell? Yes, you're supposed to say yes. We actually sunbathed every single day. It was that warm in Tenerife. We did wear jumpers in the morning, but by the afternoon there was sunbathing. This is me with a suntan. I think I'm tanned. Anyway, moving on. I thought it would be really fun if we did a little Q&A because it is kind of the start of the year. We've got some new people with us. Hi new people. And one of the things I've been doing recently is dropping into the community tab a question saying, hey, what kind of videos would you guys like to see? And some of the questions were things that maybe I thought I could answer quite briefly rather than doing a whole video on, but then I don't know, if I answer them too briefly in this video and you're like, hey Jessica, no, give me a whole video on this, let me know and we can do that. So hi, hello, let's go for a start of the year Q&A. It's not going to be called that, there's going to be a better title. I mean, you know what it is, I don't know what it is yet, but there will be a better title. I should say, I'm not answering questions about the holiday though, really, because I think most of them will be answered by the video, which will be coming out after this. Except for this very first one, which is from Musical Noodles, which is an excellent name. What's it like travelling with dietary requirements? Do you have tips for people whose diets are restricted, but still want to experience the culture and food of the country? What is it like travelling with dietary requirements? Well, so I myself have quite a few restrictions when it comes to dietary stuff. I can't process sugar, which is quite a big one, and as part of that I can't really have lactose, which is a type of sugar. Don't do well with gluten. I also can't do red meat, which is a surprising one, just in there for fun. No, I think that's pretty much it. I'm good with peanuts. I can eat peanuts, that's fine. And now we have a baby who has a cow's milk protein allergy, which is something that we actually have to watch out for, so have to look for milk. Claudia and I just kind of avoid lactose and gluten, and I have to actively avoid sugar, but we've never had to really be that careful about things like dairy before. But now, because she's breastfeeding, she has to avoid dairy, and we have to avoid dairy for things that we give Rupert. So when we're travelling, a lot of restaurants are thankfully, even if the menu isn't in English, there will be little symbols that are kind of helpful. So, you know, a little wheat grain. The easiest way I find when you're in a different country is to, as much as you want to kind of try the more complex dishes where everything's all mixed together, unless you're really aware of what the ingredients are already and you've done a lot of research, is to order things that come in very separate parts. So I love a good seafood platter. That's something that I will order pretty much everywhere we go, but with maybe sauces that are very specific to that area. So we were in Tenerife, and in the Canary Islands they have different Canarian dips that are very regional. So we would order those and then try the different little dips with our seafood, and that way get to experience the flavours and tastes of the area, but without having to be like, don't really know what's in this, don't really know how to properly communicate. I need to make sure that this hasn't seen a cow. Next question is from Emily Timko. What are your tips for similarly disabled people who are about to become parents? What did you do to prepare? How do you and Claudia make sure you still get lots of bonding time with your child despite being stuck in bed some days? Preparation. Yes, preparation is key. One of the things that I really did to prepare for becoming a parent was to make sure that I was physically ready to carry around a small child, because that's a large part of what you have to do at the start. They very much cannot do anything for themselves. I'm not saying you have to straight away be able to lift a 1-year-old, because you very much don't. They are not at that weight from birth, thank goodness. You just need to be able to lift the average size of a newborn. That sounds really harsh though, saying you have to be able to carry that, because you really don't to be a parent. But that's just what I did, because I was aware that I could get my body to that state, but it's not vital to being a parent that you actually can lift up a child. Probably the most vital thing to be a parent is actually just that you're there to be able to love your child and to make them feel loved and supported. But what I did, not focusing on aerobic exercise, more on the weightlifting, so that I was able to lift a kind of 8-pound child. And then once he was born, because I was carrying him around so much, he was the weight for me, and I've built up quite a little bit of muscle here. just from hefting around our child. It sounds really silly, but one of the things that I would advise in the run-up to becoming a disabled parent is not to panic too much. Because as a disabled person, you are already quite well equipped with a lot of the things that you're going to need as a parent, including the ability to adapt very quickly to things changing day to day and having to change your environment around you. Babies change constantly, and you're probably pretty used to your body being a little different from how the world expects your body to be, and therefore needing to think on your feet and needing to change your environment to make it help fit for you. So that's kind of the skills you're going to need from day one. Next question, and we'll pretend that I don't look slightly different because I may or may not have gone to the Chinese supermarket to get some food because we're doing a whole Lunar New Year thing tonight. It's fine. The question is from Jules. I'm a quarter Chinese myself, so I'm always curious how parents approach raising kids with different cultures, especially since us quarters don't always show our mixed heritage on our faces as we grow older. It's a really, really interesting question. From our perspective, because we're two parents who don't share biology with our child, however, we very much are one family, and we would like to add to our family in the future in a way that isn't necessarily to do with biology. Adoption is something we'd very much like to look into. We see culture as being part of our family as a unit. When you're a mixed race family, you can't always know for sure how your children are going to take parts of those genes. Like, genes aren't 50-50 the way that we're taught in school. It's not that, you know, your dad has black hair and your mom has blonde hair and therefore you get brown hair because that's a mix of the two. It's very much like Skittles, right? Like, your dad is blue Skittles and your mum is red Skittles, and they just get thrown into a pot and someone gives you a handful of those Skittles. It won't be exactly half and half. So what that means is, and what we've seen from our own families around us, is that children don't always show on their faces the cultures that they are part of. But that doesn't mean that they're any less a part of that. And we wouldn't want our children to feel that way. So my family are English and Swedish, and Claudia's family are English and Malaysian. And so our family are an English, Swedish and Malaysian family. And so that's how we culturally live with our children. Children really have one. That's how we culturally live with our child. And those are the kind of cultures that we celebrate. And when we have milestones, we celebrate them in the ways that relate to those cultures, if that makes sense. And it wouldn't necessarily make sense for us to think about that purely in terms of how our children look. Like, say we had randomly a very blonde child. That wouldn't be the child that gets to be at the forefront of all of like the Swedish stuff, because we're like, blonde child, go. It's very much like we're a whole family, we do everything together, and we very much want them all to know where they come from, who they are, and to feel a really strong sense of their cultural identity. Paula Allen says, Happy Lunar New Year. How was it taking your first flight since the pandemic arrived? How was it flying as a family, and did Rue deal with the changing pressure on the flight? Well, taking my first flight since the pandemic arrived was a thing. I've developed a little bit of agoraphobia related to the lockdowns and the pandemic. I talked about it in this Instagram post here, which is on my Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram if you don't already, at Jessica Out of the Closet. So obviously for me, this was a very big deal going abroad, but it felt like a really good step. And in many ways, I felt much freer and more able to do things. I think because I was in an unfamiliar environment, it felt like very much like a fresh start. I felt much safer because it was like, okay, I've come here, someone has told me the rules, I'm like, brilliant, I know what to do. Whereas when we're here in Brighton, when we go to, like, we had to go to the shopping centre to get our booster jabs, and I'm like, I know this shopping centre, I've come here for the last 8 years, and the last 2 years, every time I've come, there's been like a different rule, and I don't know what the rules are right now, and it's really freaking me out, and oh my god, what do I do? Oh my gosh, And that's the thing that is for me really freaking me out, and I'm finding quite hard to deal with. And then that makes me find being around strangers and being in crowds quite difficult. It's just that I don't know the rules, and the rules keep changing, and I'm like, ah, and then I'm relying really heavily on Claudia to tell me what to do and what's okay. And in fact, while we were abroad, the rules changed again in England. I was like, amazing, brilliant. In many ways, yeah, being out there did feel much, much better. It was also quite nice to be in an airport where everyone's like wearing their masks and very following the rules, going on the lines. I was like, oh, yeah, haven't really gone out anywhere since we've come back because I've just had a migraine for 4 days. Which I think was a pressure change thing, which relates to your question. I think Rupert dealt with the pressure change better than I did. On the plane, he breastfed on takeoff and landing, which we've been told beforehand would really help his ears, because obviously he doesn't know to swallow a lot when the plane is going up and down. And so no issues there. He was excellent. 4-hour flight, he slept for 40 minutes of it on the way there and was just really chill. And we read books. It was brilliant. The way back, he slept for an hour and a half, ate some snacks, played with some toys. He's a very calm child. On the way back though, he did decide that the lady behind us would love a game of peekaboo. She did in fact enjoy the game quite a lot, perhaps not for the full half hour that he wished to play with her. My God. But he kept being like, and she was like, oh, and even got her husband involved. She got some people in another row involved. This baby loves me. It's like, he loves everyone, lady. I'm really sorry to break it down. I didn't tell her that. I did not tell her that. You just don't tell people. You're just like, it's you. It's you. He loves you. He doesn't take to anyone the way he takes to you, plain lady. It's you. Okay, Tiffany says, and this is actually a really, really great question that actually relates to my day yesterday. What is something you've learned about your partner from their parenting? Generally, people tend to inward focus on their own growth, but it's always lovely to recognise the development in others. Hoping everyone's doing well and staying healthy. That's such a sweet question, Tiffany. Like, that's really lovely. My goodness. So last night we were giving Rupert a bath and Claudia turned to me and was like, I always thought that you'd be a really gentle mother, but it's really nice to see it. And I actually cried a bit. I was like, oh, thanks. That's really nice. She's like, yeah, no, you're just really sweet and kind and patient with him. I was like, oh my gosh. I think one thing that I have that she touched on was patience. Because nothing bores me. Like, I'll just sit for hours with him. But then the things that I've noticed about her, which was your actual question, is how, like, capable she is, which is very odd to say because obviously she is. It's Claudia. Like, when has she not been capable? Never. This girl she gets it done. I'm never gonna forget her mowing the lawn the day before she gave birth. Most Claudia moment you've ever seen. Anything that happens, she can just jump in and deal with a situation in the most wonderful way. Like, nothing phases her. Rupert and Claudia are really well matched personalities. They're both the same kind of like chill person who is incredibly independent and driven to do their own little thing. And they both kind of respect that in each other, but sometimes they will squabble with each other about their independence. So he'll be like, excuse me, no, I wish to put this on myself. And she'll be like, you can't do up buttons. What are you going to do? And he's be like, try. I will try and do buttons. She's like, okay then, do it. And they just have this face off. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? I just cannot wait for this to grow and to see this as a small child. I would also like to add that Claudia cooks the most amazing food. She's absolutely killing it in the mum food department. Her mum must have been the most amazing cook, because we are being treated to delicacies, and that child eats like a king. He is 7 months old and he eats like a king. Like, Hainanese chicken rice is stunning. He's getting hot pot tonight. We did not eat this well before he was born. Last question is from Lunator Sprite. Happy Lunar New Year! How has the communication with sign language been going with the little baby? What sign language words has he learnt so far? Oh, well, very sweetly, he's been working on trying to say mama because it's quite similar to a lot of other words. So you've got mama and then you've got more, which is, as you can see, if you're a baby, that's a bit confusing and you're just gonna kind of smack some stuff around, you know. Oh, and then you've got change. It's a whole thing. So for a while it was just a lot of, but the other night when we came back from Tenerife, he was not happy. He was lying in his bed. He was just having an absolute ball. So he developed separation anxiety while we were in Tenerife, only relating to me. I couldn't be more than a meter away from him and I wasn't allowed to turn around, which is quite limiting. Not with Claudia though. She was fine. She could go and swim. And when we came back and put him down to bed in his room, he was like, no, no. And he was really crying. And we looked on the monitor and for the first time he was perfectly signing, mama, 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 mama. I'm going in. Right, I've got to go. Had to go in. And he was fine. I just signed him a story and he went back to sleep. It was fine. And yeah, so since then, he can do mama. He does mummy. He does milk when he wants milk. He will do either nappy or change. It kind of depends. If he wakes up and he has something in his nappy, he'll do like poo to tell you that he needs his nappy changed. But if he's about to need his nappy changed, then he'll signal that way, which is more like, take this nappy off me immediately. I would like it taken off. And that change is more just like, I would like this nappy changed now, it's good. Next one. The most adorable thing is because we say goodnight every night by saying I love you. He now, when he falls asleep, he gets really dozy and he's like, he does like a little babble in sign language. He's like, and that's how he falls asleep. I die. It's too cute. But yeah, his sign language is really, really coming along quite often. When he sort of wants to communicate with us, he really intensely will be like, does this mean anything to you? I don't know. So it's his way of kind of babbling in the same way that little babies like say random things. They kind of sign babble. And when he's finished eating, he wants his little wipe. So he does this to say finished. And then you have to hand him his little, we have little reusable wipes. And then you give him the wipe and he's like, kills me. God, he's too cute. But yeah, so the best way that we've found to kind of teaching him sign language and be learning sign language is just to be signing around him when it's just the three of us. And of course I sign all books to him. It's read a lot of Spot over and over and over again. So there you go. I hope that answers some of your questions. Lovely to have a little chat with you. Let me know if there are any other things that you kind of want answered or to expand on. It might actually be really interesting to turn some stuff into shorts. Maybe. I do ramble though, so how am I going to fit that into a 15-second short? Who knows? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video and just spending some time catching up. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and click the like button. And thank you so much to the members of the Kellgren-Fozard Club for supporting me, supporting the channel, and helping me to be able to do what I love and give you guys fun content to watch as well. And I shall see you in the next video. Mwah! Bye!